Hello, my friends, and welcome to MSP Unplugged. This is the place to learn tips, tricks, and strategies to help you run and grow your IT service business, whether you're a one-person shop or leading a team for the journey. This is the place for you. Let me introduce you to my co-host. First and foremost, from Chicago, Mr. Paco Lebron. How are you today, sir?
Oh, you know what I like to say, Mr. Smith? Better than good, better than most, as I like to say.
Yeah. Good. And coming in from Dallas here, our newest member, who's not so new anymore, Mr. Corey Kirkendoll. How are you, Corey?
Hey man, I'm good. What's going on, fellas? Man, just living a dream, man. It's weird to see rain and thunderstorms on Christmas and days after, man. So it's crazy.
Same here.
Yeah, no.
It was raining yesterday like crazy.
Yeah, we got nothing. We got some on Christmas Day, no, Christmas Eve, we got some snow, but by the end of the day, it was gone already. It was off the ground. So I guess those of you can hear us talking about Christmas. This is basically our after Christmas show. And we're going into the new year. So actually, when this airs, it will be New Year's Eve. So from all of us, we are wishing you all a happy new year, happy, safe, productive, and profitable new year with your MSP or whatever business you may be running, listening to us. Before we get started here, I want to run a quick tip, tricks, or strategies, some things we may have gathered through the week, or it's been a slow week, but Paco, what you got for us this week?
As you said, Mrs. Smith, it was a slow week this week. So, as far as for stories and such, it's very interesting on when you find the opportunity to, stay in tune with your team, right? And the point of it is make sure communications are key and clear. So, I have two of my staff members that are apparently moving this week during Christmas week, and so for some reason I thought that they were both gone for the week. Some were gone, some were not. And so the point of it, as simple as that is, communication is key. So sometimes when you think that you got this big day that's ahead of you because you think you're by yourself, sometimes you're not. And so it kind of shifts the things that you're trying to do for yourself. So outside of that, that's my story. And that's clear communication is key for all things MSP.
Always necessary. Mr. Kirkendall?
Yeah, man. I can echo that one 100%, man. Is sometimes we assume that people get it and they know what's going down, but that's not always the case. So I echo that as well. A lot of the team is out this week for traveling and things from that perspective, but having the ability to communicate and see where things are getting handled and making sure you have a proper plan in place is probably the biggest trick for this week, especially during the holiday week, because for an MSP, this is all the time where people are calling, want to get projects ready to go and finish up, and they're going on vacation. So you want to make sure you got things covered and ready to hit the ground running after January, because we know what's happening, right? Password reset city on when it comes down.
Definitely covered.
So we need to be ready for that, but it's all good.
I'm going to echo what these guys talk about the communication, but I'm going to talk about it in the sense of communication with our clients. We dropped the ball on something, and I dropped the ball. I'm not gonna say we. I dropped the ball. We did not communicate to clients our hours for the holiday, right? We, for some reason, and that normally, I remember preparing the email, it just never went out. And what that did was Christmas Eve. Well, let me start this way. I expected it to be a slow week. I expected from Monday on to be just, one of those slow weeks. Monday, I was slammed. Tuesday, I was busy up until 6:00 on Christmas Eve. Which, first and foremost, I'm like, why is everybody working? Go home. But I guess when you think about it, Christmas was in the middle of the week. So people were working Monday and Tuesday. My understanding is a lot of corporations were not giving the Tuesday off. Some people had Thursday off.
Thursday off, yeah.
Yeah. So, I anticipated it the other way. So people were working, like I had a client say, hey, when my clients are working or my vendors are working, I have to be working as well. So, and it just so happens that technology being technology, when you need it to just handle itself, it doesn't, right? Something goes wrong. And so I ended up working, and it was unfair because I told everybody, hey, take it light, don't worry about it. So I ended up working late on Monday and north of 6:00 on Tuesday. And The thing is, we didn't turn off the phones. We didn't put the holiday message on. I didn't send a message to everybody say, hey, after 12 o'clock on Tuesday, we're done. So if the phone rings, you got to answer it then, right? So that's what happens. So I guess my tip is make sure, don't take it for granted. Make sure you get that communication out to your clients. And it's funny, it was in Google. We updated the Google listing for the current times, but we didn't update the customers for it. So just
so you told your prospects, but you didn't tell your current clients.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, but you got to do what you got to do. Luckily, it was nothing major. It was just a bunch of little small things, but small things really, a couple of small things can avalanche into a really big thing. So just a little tip for you in the future, and a tip for us in the future. Make sure that email goes out, put the phone on holiday, and let it roll where it may from there.
And if that isn't a clear example of how to prevent unplanned work, I don't know what would. It's a great example.
Exactly. So as we talk about unplanned work, talk about the holidays, it's the end of the year, everyone. This is the last show of 2024. I will say it's been adventurous. We've had we've had an interesting 2024. Wouldn't you say, Paco?
Who you telling?
Now for the, we did some things a little different. As you know, now there's 3 of us in the studio as opposed to 2. That's first and foremost. We did a lot of broadcasting this year out of office, on site at different locations. So that was something different for us. We had a lot more, quote unquote, advertising or, just sponsorships of people who are been paying attention to the show. So we've experimented with a few different things. And as MSP Unplugged, again, we had I'm going to say great TechCon Unplugged, which I think is always great. It was always my favorite event of the year, even though this year I went to more events than probably ever in my life. Of course, because
Paco enjoyed them, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I actually had a good time, and I'm not one. Everyone who knows me well knows I'm a homebody, so I'm not one to want to necessarily get out. But was a very good 2024. Now, before we talk about some of the things that that in our own MSPs that went right, went wrong, you guys have any comments or anything about MSP Unplugged or TechCon Unplugged you'd like to express?
I'll kick it out to Corey with our newest member.
Yeah, man. Going to one of the things that was cool is I really loved that TechCon Unplugged and where it was coming, the intimate session and just overall. What I really like, it reminded me a lot of what I love about CompTIA's event, the CCF event, where the vendors and the MSPs came together, where you really couldn't tell who was who in the room because everybody took off their masks, they took off their thing, and they were there to really promote each other's business and have just real conversation. And the session was cool, and everybody kind of interacted, man. It was intimate. It was good stuff, man. So that's what's awesome, man. And I think that's the thing that pulls us back to what the channel is all about, man. Making it feel like family, making it feel like home, making it feel comfortable to where it's a safe place and a comfortable place to engage. And that's what I really enjoyed about it, man. It was good stuff.
Cool. Mr. Paco?
TechCon Unplugged is one of those babies that it's like, oh, it's here. It's nice. Everyone loves it, and so, I've been doing it for about 5 years now. And it's always been a new iteration of it every year, right? Whether it expanded from different cities to different styles, it evolved into different type of content. And so, near and dear to my heart, definitely TechCon Unplugged really helped those connect to each other. And I've noticed that there's been a lot of great kind of friendships that have evolved from that. And also have noticed a lot of great peer groups that I've heard that are actually forming out of that as well. And so it's pretty cool to hear, throughout the nation, all of the US, where everyone is talking to each other, learning a little bit more. And, people are not, I wouldn't say shy, but they're not withholding, that they need help. Right. And that's the real big point of what we do here, what we do at, for MSP Unplugged, TechCon Unplugged. Even the other day, I had someone shoot me a message in on LinkedIn to say, hey, heard you on this podcast, love what you're all about. I'm struggling. I want to see, what did you do in my place, and things of that nature, right? So to hear people reaching out for help is great. I think it's really impressive to know that that is a brave move to do. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength, right? Because with all of us being with our collective knowledge, we have that ability to do so. So, for that, I really enjoyed seeing that. We always run into our favorite cast of folks that always come around, right? And so, just being able to see all of our great people, all those great times. And then again, yeah, we expanded our reach this year. We've been to a few more shows. We started doing now I wouldn't say live podcasting, but on the scene podcasting, actually hiring a video crew, actually hiring, doing this really official, actually being able to market ourselves. And I think that had went a long way. Now, some tweaks that we have to make for some of that. But I think that it was a great start for us to just show our breadth of knowledge. And then now with the addition of Corey, being able to have those three personalities and just different histories and experiences for those to learn from as well. So definitely thought it was a great year for MSP Unplugged. We definitely expanded, the numbers show. And so we're hoping that next year's way of how we bring this knowledge to you will be even more impactful for 2025.
Great. Well said. And I'm going to say this because we've announced it a couple of times, but I am 90% of the way there. So we will have our community ready. We will have our, all of the things we've been talking about doing, and, slowly starting to put some things in place to help us grow. And again, one of the things we always encourage, this is about the community, for the community, and by the community.
Mm-hmm.
So, we always encourage your input. So if you have, some input, some things you'd like to see, some things that you wouldn't like to see, or some suggestions, whatever it may be, please feel free to give us, to provide that input. Because again, the three of us don't claim to be experts. We claim to just be experts within our own business and what we're doing. And, we're just here to supply some of our experience, right? And then you take that and use it how you may. But again, a lot of the things we learn, we've got from other MSPs, I got from other, other learnings, other people, right? And this is what helps the community grow. So I'm just going to encourage everyone again. I say this a lot. This is where I grew up as an MSP, and I wouldn't be where I'm at without the knowledge and the sharing and relationships that I've developed through this community. So I definitely encourage everyone, whether you're a seasoned veteran or starting out tomorrow, reach out to community, ask questions, give your opinion. It just share, because I think that's the only way that we all grow and we all prosper here. So I'm going to leave it there. And now we're going to move from MSP Unplugged and TechCon to talk about some of the things that, individually has made this year what it has been for us, whether that's been good or bad, special or whatever the case may be. I know we've all had our different goals, different projects we came into the year with. I'm going to let Paco start it out with how was your 2024 and what's going on for 2025? No, let's start. How was your 2024? Let's go start there first. Sorry about that.
2024 was rough. And when I tell you rough, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you rough. No, I think 2024, it was very interesting, right? Because, it's one of those moments where and I always think of Eric Thompson, the hip hop preacher. We've talked about this, main reason why we talk about the fourth quarter living series, because that's a phrase that he's used. And it's one of those where everything is fine and dandy and everyone has a plan until you get hit in the mouth. And then when you get hit in the mouth, what is your plan, right? And the metaphor that's relating to is when something doesn't go your way for your plan, how do you pivot? How do you react? How do you grow stronger, right? And so there's a bit of resilience in this thing called MSPs, right? And so I think all of us here do a very good job of being as transparent as possible, because you have a lot of those in the industry that's like, hey, I got over here and you can do this, and hey, everything's all fine and dandy, which is all bullshit. But my whole point on it is, for 2024 for us, we had a plan on what was going to be our scaling. We were already going to be doing our digital advertising. We were going to be doing a lot more webinars and really hit the ground running on our prospecting. Had a full plan, right? And so right around, I think it was about February, maybe about March or so, we ended up, my lead technician who had been with me for, well, let me rewind. So back in November of the previous year, one of my technicians who had been with me for so long started being MIA at work. And so for those that don't know, I hired several technicians out of Venezuela that were built help desk down there, provided that one-to-one support. Being that we are all of us of Latino descent, they've meshed really well, our clients, and it was just a great opportunity and a great way of doing so. And then these technicians worked for me. We went through a hiring agency, but then they worked directly with us. And so they were part of the company, part of the team. And so unfortunately, things got a little lax on that side. And so, without, having the agency there to kind of monitor things, one of our technicians would go MIA, sometimes an hour, sometimes 2 hours. And it wasn't for lunch because he already went for lunch. So sometimes he just will go, you message him, we're calling him, internationally, we're hitting up on WhatsApp, nothing. And so nothing's being answered, nothing's being gone through. They're not reporting to the admin staff when they need help. So it just became a big issue. So one time there was a big excuse that didn't match up to what it was. So we let him go. And so we hired a new technician coming around December to January, where we would go and train and kind of go from there. Well, come January, February, my lead technician, who has kind of always been, I guess the best way to say is a bad apple, because like he had a very big, like, I've been here for so long, I should be doing more things. And his skill level wasn't to what his attitude was for him. He thought he was a level 3 engineer and he should get paid as a level 3 engineer. And really he was like 1.5. So I could see where he felt like he was doing most of everything here with all those things that we were going. So he got a big job offer and he left. But, as any respectable person, you would probably leave a 2-week notice, unless the job was crap, then you leave, which totally understand those parts. But, so he gave me a 3-day notice that he was leaving. So my technician who I had for close to 5 years, just basically said, in 3 days, I'm gone. And so, I had to make the decision to figure out, all right, well, to retrain another employee, we had to retrain this new employee that we just came on. What do we make for our decision? And so we just decided to outsource our help desk. And so what I mean by that is electing for technicians to be our level 1 arm while we focus on projects and things of that nature. So we ended up doing that. So we let go of our newly hired technician. And so when we moved forward with the new help desk, there was a lot of learning curves and outputs that we were trying to figure out. It allowed us to restructure the important things. So we brought back John Dubinsky, for those that know the channel, who was formerly of the Maven Group, to help me rebuild our documentation. We had just moved from Synchro to SuperOps, so retransforming all of that, and then really focusing on, all right, our documentation and process was for internal technicians, which is a very different methodology when you outsource to another company for level 1. And so the two didn't really align, is what we learned. And so trying to go through the next several months, trying to piece that all together, unfortunately, I ended up jumping back into level 1 support for the first time, and again, for 5 years, which I realized that although I'm very good at it, and have discovered a lot of inefficiencies that I have since corrected, I love running the business, not so much doing the tech work, although I love the output of resolving my clients' issues and knowing their satisfaction from the issue being resolved. Two different things. So from there, we ended up working it out in a way where we were able to get good with our outsourced help desk. And this took up until about August till we got to a position where, we found a great company. We were able to translate what we were doing from our learning experiences. And since then, we've been all steam ahead. But this went from March to April all the way to about August. So, you know, it's only 4 months, but when I tell you it was the longest 4 months that I could have, to finally then onboard this and then have a new company take on and then to train them up in there. So we didn't really start hitting the, you know, good till about the beginning of fourth quarter, which was October. So my entire 2024 was shot. So, you know, we think we closed maybe 2 clients this year, which is a normal low. So, you know, we did let go of some clients because we were in this process of doing the pumpkin plan. That was the plan for 2024, was to hire, like, I think I talked about in the beginning of the year. I think we only needed 3 more of the same clients we had. That was 70% of our revenue, and we could replace the other 21 clients and just finding them new homes and being more efficient and things of that nature. And it just didn't work out. And so we had to pivot. We had to work from there. So now that we're in a better spot, we're focusing on 2025, which I won't go into that just yet, but that is the long-winded answer of why 2024, in my opinion, was rough. So I'll kick it back to you.
Okay, rough. Yeah, but I mean, it's all about learning it and making those decisions as to, you know, what needs to be done. And sometimes you have to, as you say, you have to pivot on the fly. And as long as you can do that, I think you set yourself up for success going forward.
Yeah, there was a lot of screwball drinking from that.
Yeah. Well, I see, man, I'm one of those oddballs, man. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't have no vices other than buying shoes and playing with toys. But Paco, very similar from that perspective, man. I think over the time of being doing this long enough is you got to get good at being uncomfortable, right? And I think that's the key I took from that, because I'm in the exact same spot, man. And as you look at where the business is going and you look at how it grows, man, for me, 24 was kind of a roller coaster up and down as well. Very similar, man. We actually, you know, talked a little bit, and very similar to your story, you know, outsourcing help desk and things like that. I've always had a challenge because the old mentality of a MSP was saying, hey, what differentiate us is one of our, what we call our value propositions, was having techs that everybody knew and having it hands-on. But that's really not the case, right? When you sit back and you really look at that, it's kind of an oxymoron. We want people to say, outsource your IT to us, but we want to keep everything in-house, right?
Right.
And you know, it's always like, oh, I had to adopt. So for me, man, you know, bringing in somebody that was an ops that thought a little bit different than I did, someone that was looking at it from a strategic perspective on the business, to really figure out, says, hey, I know Corey needs to be out there working on the business, not in the business. So I'm going to challenge him to change the way he handles support, hiring, and whatever. And I started where we started to hire, man, where I just could not. I got job, got money, but I just could not hire somebody because I could not find a candidate what it was coming from, right? You know, the hardest part for us was, you know, people would graduate from mycomputercareer.com or get your certification in 24hours.net and come in and they told them in the last 3 weeks that, hey, when you graduate with your Net Plus, A Plus, Security Plus, CYSC, man, you need to be making 6 figures, and here's where it comes from. And I'm like, cool. And they come out, you get in there, they sit in front of you, and you say, well, let's talk about, and on their resume, they talk about Active Directory and all this stuff. And I say, yeah, let's talk about AD. They go, I don't know what that is. Well, let's talk about this. They're like, I don't know what that is. I think, but you said that on your first 18 pages of your resume. Here's what it was. And they're like, hey, man, that's cool, but hey, this is what I need. I need to work from home. I don't even know what all that is. I need to be doing this. I need to be off 5 of the 7 days a week. This is what I need from that perspective. I'm like,
and I need $200,000 to do that.
And technically, you need to work for me. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't really understand what's going on. So that stress was like, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. So I had to get out of my own way to figure out, hey, how do I go and transition that to get into a better spot to provide that customer with that level one, focus more on the project side, remove that barrier of hiring, and let someone else manage that piece, but bring in a team that can work side by side to grow and continue to give that same culture, same relationship to our customer by not owning that ourselves. And there's a lot of pluses in that, right? And so by doing that, we still manage the outsourced help desk as if they're still our team. They are our team. we manage the process. We want to make sure they understand what our needs are and where it comes from, and that's clearly differentiated and where it comes down to that path. And the other piece now is it when you look at the bottom line of me running the business and owning the business, when you don't have that head count of that W-2 employee with all the benefits, all the insurance and all that, what you figure out is that all that cost and extra expense go straight to the bottom line, right? And what's cool about that is that when we're able to do that, strengthen out, put the help desk out there, really comes to that point. It was the equivalent over the last 3 or 4 months of going and hiring and acquiring 3 or 4 new customers, right? If you look at the cost, it just made sense. But what I say that to say, man, is I had to have somebody in a group or us talking to push me to go from that perspective. But my main point is I had to get out of my own way and get out of my way of thinking and come to a new spot. Because in my mind, it was the way it needed to get done. And then somebody challenged that, and now it's doing it. Is it perfect? No, but we'll continue to do it to involve it. But is it better than having to do the alternative? 100%, 100%. And it continues to grow every day to get better. So from that perspective, 24 is shaping up to be to end off on a good note. I think 25 will be a lot better. But the biggest deal, man, is just getting through that hiring employees, customer sat, listening to what the customer's done, and figuring out that we can do this, but we got to do it a different way so that we can work through that process and kind of come to that.
Cool. It sounds like 24 was that year for everyone. Or maybe it's the even year or whatever it is, because I'm exactly in the same boat. And, I'm going to say 2 things off the bat. This is the first year in a very long time that we didn't see the growth that we had in the past. But it is also, so we didn't grow from a financial standpoint. We didn't grow. But from a maturity standpoint, we took a huge leap. And that is I think what will pay off for us going forward. And I've mentioned this a couple of times, but I'll give the origins really quick. I noticed in February and March, we were missing a lot of marks. And when Juan has said this, Paco has used this quote all it's when all things lead back to Rick is the problem, right? Juan uses his name. And I just noticed we were missing a lot of marks. A lot of things were coming up a little short. And what I realized was I got too comfortable. We got too comfortable in what we were doing. As Corey said, you got to be comfortable in being uncomfortable. And we were comfortable and not taking the next steps, not focusing on what needed to be focused on. So I knew this was going to hurt, but I had to figure out what is my role in this business, right? And what do I want us to do? What do I want Renactus Technology to be when people talk about us and see, and say something? What do I want them to say? Forget about me personally, but what do they say about the company?
Sure.
That's the goal. Right now, what do I do to help to enhance that feeling about the company, or enhance that reputation, that culture? What do I do? What is my job in that role? Or what is my role in that perspective, however you want to say it? And so I started to learn about the things that I like to do, things that I didn't like to do. You always heard me say this. I'm a technician first. I like solving problems, right? But I always would not focus on the business side of this. I run a technical business, or a technician's business, but I never focused on the business side of this, right? I always just wanted to make sure the IT is right, want to make sure this is right. And as a result, processes slipped. We weren't making deadlines, and we were not basically approaching things the right way. So I did some things that I helped us move forward. I got a business coach. This was actually entirely by accident that I bumped into someone I knew who ran 2 successful businesses, one as a financial consultant and one as a restaurant owner. 2 successful businesses in 2 different fields, nothing tech related. But the conversations we could have, and it just started out being conversations. I got a lot of perspective on where we were falling short. because all the questions that he would ask me in casual conversation would end up being, nah, we don't have that. I plan on doing that. Yeah, that's coming. Oh, we don't need that. Everything was something that
we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And what I realized then was, hey, we're falling short. If I had to take accountability and say where we're falling short, it's that we don't have anything in place to solve the issues that come. Now, we know all of the problems from the years of experience. We know all the problems that come with the business, right? We know 90% of the issues that our clients face. But the question is, do you know 90% of the issues that you face as a business owner? What does your business face that you have to solve in order to be more efficient, first and foremost in-house, in order to deliver that service that you claim to give to your customers outside of the house? And that's what we had to learn, right? That's what I had to learn. So I made a decision, and we had this conversation. You said, you're going to take a hit. But so we took the focus away from new clients, we just wanted to focus on what we had. And I spent the rest of this year, and you guys have heard me talk about this a lot, just really doing a deep dive into our policies, procedures, how we handle things, to basically rewrite it all, to fix the documentation, to fix the policies and procedures, to make it easy, to define my role in the business and what I do, and bring on people or bring on people who will fill the roles that I'm not going to fill, right? To do a better job at that. So that's been the focus for the year. So as I say, we took a hit financially on that, but I think from a maturity standpoint, we've taken a great leap, and I'm using that I believe will springboard us into what we're doing for next year. But I think it's that for all of us, it's that honest autopsy of your business. What works, what doesn't work, what could be improved. And we just implemented basically what we call PIE, right? PIE. Basically, it's your plan for whatever you're trying to do. I is your implementation. How do you implement it? And then E is evaluate. Evaluate what the results are. And you go right back around again, because when the things that you plan to do, and when you evaluate and you give an honest evaluation, it worked, it didn't work, why didn't it work? You reincorporate it back in the plan. And it just basically it's a circle. And that's what we've been focusing on this year. This is what I've been focused on. It's helped me to get more of a understanding of who I am and what I'm trying to do, and what my role is as a leader, right? What my role is as the founder and CEO of the company, what I'm going to do, what I should be doing, and what I'm not going to do. So, going forward, I'm going to do a lot more. I do not necessarily would call myself a sales or marketer, but it's something I got to do, right? I'm the face of the company. And it helps when I go out, that I go out sometimes and meet customers and meet potential customers and talk to them about the business. So I'm pushing myself to do more of that, take away some of the administrative stuff that I have been doing and push that on other people, because quite frankly, again, it's like I say, I enjoy the technical side of this, but the whole business side, I don't really, it's not something I necessarily enjoy. Now, again, I have to keep my eye on the business, know where to check in, what questions to ask, what trends to look for, things like that, to know if we're in trouble. But my focus has to be bringing in new people and maintaining the relationships that we have and making sure that those relationships grow. So that is the change we've made for 2024. That I'm looking forward to making a better 2025.
Man, that's huge, man. That's where it all comes from, man. I think I think a lot of people could relate to what you just said, man, and where it comes from. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, not wanting to make that change, because we all take the path of least resistance, and you're comfortable on the tech side, right? We're all comfortable on the tech side, right? Paco, you said it. Hey, I'm good. I'm the man when it comes to taking these cases, right? I can knock them out, right? That's comfortable for us, right? But man, when it gets in front of that other conversation or working something else, that's not what we like to do. And I think if you take what you did and what you said, when you take that and relate that back to your people and say, let's figure out, do I have the right people in the right seat on the bus? And what you may find out is that how do we help them get uncomfortable and move them to the right space to make it go from where that needs to get done. That's what we're challenged for as a leader, right? Is to go out and do that. Is making sure that it comes down to, because we have the ultimate responsibility that if they're in the wrong seat and the bus don't go, ain't nobody stepping up. If you like me, and I'm guarantee all three of us on the phone, is there's things that keep us up at night. And most of the things that keep us up at night is worried about other people's stuff, our customers' network, our customers, our employees got a job, their benefits, the payroll, and where it comes from that perspective, right? And you know, so our goal is is to make sure that all that flows, man. It's stressful, but you know, I love what you said, man. It's powerful stuff.
So as we as we look forward now, we talked about where we were, what 2024 represented for us. What are you looking forward to? What excites you about going into next year?
Man, 25, man. I try not to set any expectations and kind of where it goes and want to go down it. But the main thing is to try to stay focused and stay grounded on executing and learn from what we did in 24. So really, for the first couple of weeks, we'll sit down and analyze and review what went well, what didn't go well, what we need to keep and what we need to throw out from a 24 perspective. And then by 1st of January, what we'll do is we'll sit down and have a company meeting and lay out how we did. Here's the health of our customers. Here's where we are. Here's what it looks like. Here's the customers we believe are in trouble because either tickets are not right or from our situation. And we're going to start getting out and spending time with the customers to review and get an understanding of where they are and what we need to get done and continue to execute down that path. I am very open when it comes to laying out the strategy so everybody knows kind of where we're headed and where it comes from that perspective and understand what their roles are, saying, hey, if we're going forward, here's where we need to be from a customer perspective, and here's where it comes from. So there's nobody saying, I don't understand where we're going as a company or where it's happening with that situation. It makes no sense. At the end of the day, we live by a motto. Without customers, we don't exist. So everything we do surrounds that. And so if you ever question about why is Corey going out there and grabbing a new server or doing something on behalf of his customer, it always would be grounded in if we without customers, we don't exist. So therefore, we need to do what we need to do to make sure that we take care of them and move forward. Because to be honest with you, when they love you, they love you. When they don't love you, they don't love you. Mm-hmm. And so our goal is to make sure that we are doing the right things to know that, hey, we're doing the right things to make sure they're up and where they need to get done, but also making sure that one, I tell the customers, I tell my guys and everybody on the team, nobody ever picks up the phone and really comes out and says, hey, I'm looking for a managed service provider, so I want to pay all this money to. They'll call you up and say, I got a server, I got a switch, I got a this, I got a that, and eventually it gets to that. So in order to win a managed service contract is big. And I take that extremely personal because I know that is a Herculean effort to have that customer. And therefore, I take it personally if I don't do well with that customer or that customer decides to leave. I take it personal, right? It's huge because that sale is gigantic. That means that customer put all their trust, their business, their employees, everything into us as an MSP. That's exactly what they did. So when they're gone, so I want them to understand that I take it personally, and I want them to understand that I don't take that lightly across me, because at the end of the day, it's all about that relationship and doing what's right on that perspective. So I want them to always continue. So our goal is to continue in 25, lay out the path, continue the path, but also understand that it can change. And then we got to be resilient enough to be able to change and be nimble to do those things and pivot, like you said, when things go wrong, because it will go wrong, right? But we need to be resilient to be able to go do that. So that's what I'm looking forward in 25 is continue to stay strong, maneuver out with the help desk piece, making sure we continue to thrive, not get comfortable, live in that uncomfortable piece, but make sure everybody's aware of where we're going and continue to drive that and making sure that we understand that the customers is what makes this happen.
Mr. Paco?
Man, 2025 is what, tomorrow when this podcast airs? I don't know, man. There's a lot going on. No, I mean, I think that part of what 2024 did for us was there was a lot of intentional effort to do what we had to do this year in order to go into 2025 on the right foot. And you knew about this from when I talked to you back in January, February. Like, my big plans were, all right, what were the networking pieces we're taking care of? Because we're ripping all of our current network stacked with another brand to be determined. I know y'all got some opinions on that one. To leveraging this Windows 10 end of life. There are going to be a lot of systems that need to be replaced. There's going to be a lot of systems that need to be upgraded. And so what does that mean, and how does that look like, right? Those two by themselves are a huge undertaking, both effort-wise, resource-wise, as far as time as far as us as an MSP, but also financially with the client's resources. And, depending on what happens, with inflation and things of that nature coming up, or whatever may come in an economical standpoint, how do I provide something to my clients that will allow them to do what we need them to do to be efficient and proficient in their business, but also ensuring that we're fair and bringing them an opportunity or the right way of how to do something, or how to purchase this equipment, or how can they even stretch themselves to a point where they can get to that point. So finding a good partner for that, finding the right processor that allows for financing, to allow for ours to have a little bit of a breathing room, and making that a big point in there, making sure that we are partnering with vendors and partners that are expanding our relationships with Microsoft and other vendors. How are we going to expand our brand awareness? We were playing it safe for the previous 11 years. We marked 12 years in February. How do we go on the offense and leverage what we currently have right now? We know our avatars. We know who we're trying to go after. Why aren't we going after? Right. And so not playing safe and actually going in there for that route. And then really just focusing on, the pieces that are missing. Right. So right now we got our level 1, but right now it goes level 1 to level 3 between me and John. So how do we fill that level 2? Is our onboarding on par? Making sure that we have, because, I truly believe from talking to a lot of people in our industry that all problems come from onboarding, whether that is from client, employee, or device. All issues come from those 3 things. If you can nip those in the bud in the beginning and really dedicate time to it, you will have less problems, and AKA prevent your unplanned work to that, right? And so focusing on that ability of, all right, how do I focus on that measure and ensuring that we can move forward and making sure that we do right by all of those reasons. And then ultimately, I think the biggest piece for us is, how do we make sure that everything is profitable? So actually having an IT budget, because, your boy doesn't know how to budget for nothing. So I learned how to budget this year and what budget means. How do you respect the budget, right? And how do you go ahead and move forward from there, right? And so being able to align yourselves with those avenues. Plus, again, we were really focusing on then identifying who are our target clients, who are our good clients, and who are we just, there's a lot of effort being, I don't want to say wasted, but efforts that could be used elsewhere. And so identifying those clients, and how do you provide a transition path that's best for your business, for both profit and bottom line, but also efficiency for your staff. And so all of this is the preparation that had happened in this year, so that in 2025, now it's all about execution. Now it's about hitting, all right, we know what we're doing here. Here's first quarter, January, February, March. Here's what we're planning. Here's what we're doing. Here's where the dollars are going for that. How do we catch up on a lot of the things that we slipped on the year before? And so for us in 2025, we'll hopefully close that gap that we were hoping to do in 2024. 2025 will help at least get us back on that footing, and then start making sure that we have that ascent that we were looking for.
Cool. I will say this. I'm excited about 2025. I'm excited about tomorrow as you listen to this, or if it's already tomorrow for you. I'm excited about it. And as I explained a little earlier, the work we did this year, I am excited to see the results of that. Right, I'm extremely optimistic that this will be a breakout year for us. Um, I feel better about it. I'm more confident about it. But I do have some, rather outside of financial goals, I do have some other goals. And one of, Corey, you touched on this, Paco, you touched on this as well. It's that focus on doing things the right way, but it's the focus on the client as well, right? We've defined who we want to work with. We define who we don't want to work with. I've decided I'm going to, not take on business that I really feel will be more work for us than it is worth. And there are signs to spot that. But one of the other things to do is to focus on what our current customers and new customers tell us. I think a lot of times we have these conversations. If a client doesn't say specifically, hey, this didn't work, we take it to mean everything went well, right? We don't listen to sometimes some of the other things they say to us that give us the hint that this wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be, or I didn't like this, or this didn't work, or this doesn't work for us, and I think one of the things I've realized this year when sitting down having conversations with my clients, they tell me more things in, I guess, in code than they do straight out. Some of them are very direct, right? And say, hey, you screwed up, or, you're not doing this, you're not mean that. But others are, let's say non-confrontational, right? So they'll try to find nicer ways to say certain things to us. And if we don't pick up the cues, we just assume that we're doing everything right. So one of the goals for us this year for 2025 is to really listen and then take the cues from those clients to help us as we go through our pie. And when we evaluate and plan, we pick up those things that we may have dropped the ball on. Is a classic example is no reason in the world that we should have not communicated that we were our hours for the holiday, right? There's no reason we should have done that. So now it's already in the system for next year to go out on the 20th of next year. It's small things like that, but also just listening, making the adjustments that need to be made to basically improve our service, improve our efficiency, and thus really can improve our business. Because again, Paco talks about this a lot, this unplanned work thing. The less unplanned work you can eliminate, the more unplanned work you can eliminate, the more time you have to focus on the real important things, right? The more time you have to focus on the things that actually bring in additional revenue, bring in additional satisfaction or additional efficiency to your business. So, I'm optimistic, that what we've worked on this year and the sacrifices we've made this year will pay off next year. But I'm also, gonna, one of the goals is to always keep a keen eye and listen. And since I'm going to be talking more to clients than I ever have, is to keep that keen eye and keep that keen ear, trying to hear, again, they say you got two ears for a reason and one mouth. So try to hear twice as much as what I say, and then try to, make that, make that evaluation and then re-implement the plan and better so that we learn from the mistakes. And I'll just leave it with this. And Paco, I think is absolutely right on this. If you botch the onboarding, you really create a hole that you got to dig yourself out of for a long time with the client, if that client stays with you, right? So learning from that, initially and making those corrections quickly is real important. But I'm optimistic. I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready to kick this year in the butt and say goodbye. And I don't want to see you again. Thanks for the lessons, but see ya.
Right on, man. You know what? I'm gonna challenge you guys on one thing, man. We're gonna hit it for my man Paco, me and Rick. We're gonna do this, right? We're gonna say support the FI. Let's get Paco on board, right? You know what that means. We're gonna get you, brother. Hashtag Paco support the FI. And we'll tell you what that means later on, right? All
I
of
like
us out
that.
there who do that, support the FI. We're gonna get you, brother. We're gonna get you. Resistance is futile, brother. Resistance is futile.
I will say, it's a low chance that that fly will be happening with some of the
God.
stuff that we've been testing out. So, but I
Watch
appreciate
what
you.
happens. Watch what happens, Corey. We'll have this conversation in 3 months. And
That's
we'll be
right.
back
Support
to
the
it
five, baby. Support the
again.
five. If
Well,
not,
yeah,
you got to tell us why. We want to know. Support the five. We get you, man.
I like that. Resistance is futile. The Borg are coming. But for all you Star Trek nerds. But guys, I guess we'll wrap up here. If unless there's anything else you guys want to do a quick send off into for this year. And Paco?
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead,
go ahead, Corey.
Paco. Yeah, I mean, for us, man, I think it's serious conversation to sit back and reflect on where you headed and where you've been, so where you can go, man. My grandmother used to always tell me is that sometimes, when you look at the windshield in front of you, you got this big windshield, but I think we focus too much on the rearview mirror, right? And it's the smallest part of the windshield, right? So pay attention and know that it's there, but think about all the opportunity and all the vision that you're missing if that's all you're focusing on. Reflect back. Remember that windshield is a lot bigger and there's a lot more out there in the front, and learn from those lessons, man. And don't repeat those. And it's okay to fail, right? That means that you're growing. If you fail and you learn from it, do it. But sit back, reflect, take it in, and get it moving. And if you ever have any conversation, any questions, you know that we're always here to talk about it, to have some conversation. No judgment, no nothing, because we either been there, know somebody who's been there, about to get in there ourselves. So, hey, those who live in glass houses don't throw stones, man. And I know my house is made of glass, so I ain't got time for nobody throwing no rocks in it. So it's all good.
Yeah, my only thing I would say is, as you look into that in that persistence, resilience is key. Things may be looking possibly down for you if that's the case for your end of the year, and you're just trying to figure out how this is all going to work out. In the words of good old Les Brown, is if you're going to fall down, fall with your back, because you can look up, and when you look up, you can get up, and that's how you move forward to 2025.
Very good, Paco. Very good. I'm going to leave it with this. It's never too late to evaluate. And that just means basically evaluate what's going on in your business and make some choice, to help you make some decisions on where you need to go. And I think, again, you need to start with a plan of where you want to be, evaluate where you are, and then you develop the roadmap to get there. It's like these guys have said, looking in the rearview mirror, you can learn from it, but don't live in it, right? You live going forward, because you can't change what happened yesterday, but you can have a big influence on what happens tomorrow. So, when you talk about your business, think of it that way. And again, I'm going to stress to everyone again, get some self-health. That is very important. That is also a motto for 2025. So with that, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to say one last thing as we wrap up for 2024. This is for MSP Unplugged and TechCon Unplugged. And this is for everyone out there who supported us through the years. We want to thank you. We appreciate the support. We should appreciate, that comes from the community, which includes the MSPs, technicians, the vendors out there, the smart minds out there who participate and help us to learn and grow. I really want to give you all the thanks, because again, we talk about this all the time, and I'm speaking, but this is, you guys heard me say this before. This is Paco's baby, and he's one of the reasons I'm here. And his vision has always been this community that we learn and share with and from each other, right? And it doesn't work without the participation, without the without the time, the sacrifice, the energy of everyone who listens, who comes to shows, who gives us advice, who we talk to, whatever it may be. So I want to say, from all of us, I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say this, thank you so much. We look forward to having a much more brighter, prosper 2025, where we all grow and learn and move forward. So with that, I'm going to leave it and say Happy New Year. And again, you can join us each week. We're doing a show on youtube.com. That's youtube.com/MSP Unplugged. we do us a favor. You can like, subscribe, hit the button to be notified when new episodes are available. And if you want to take us on the go, which we know a lot of you do as you're busy technicians, you can catch us on your favorite podcast apps. We're on Amazon Music, Spotify, just to name a few. For Paco, Corey, and myself, we want to say thank you again. Happy New Year, and we'll see you next time on MSP Unplugged.